Going live, I think. I hope. Let's see if it's oh, look at that. It's working. Magic. Ah, lots of magic here. Welcome to number 243. Wow, that's a lot of stuff I've created. Actually, for some reason the lights aren't turned on. There we go. There's a bright idea. Turn the lights on. Actually, am I too bright? It feels like I'm a little bit... when I look off to the side, there's actually another... There's a setup I have here that lets me determine the actual color grading, and then there's another screen when I'm looking slightly up this way to determine what's in frame and what's being switched between, and then ultimately I see it over here to see if it's actually working. So it's too early for lights. Yeah, too early for lights. We'll go with that. And for those who don't know, I always do that because I actually have a weird habit of sitting cross-legged. For anyone who cares, just lots of errata that I'll keep throwing out here. But I can log into things, so we should probably do that. Log into 724 terabytes of storage. Let's talk about that one because that's going to be at least one thing I wanted to talk about. Let's see, does it work? Is it booted? Oh, it's booted. We'll log into it here. And we'll switch screens because I know people wanted to ask about this device. And there we are. $724 terabytes, 60 disks. So much storage in here. Well, let me make sure I'm going to pop the comments out so I can read them over here. So we'll pop out the chat. I'm going to slide it over to one of my other screens and go back over here. This is a series of projects, and it's actually, you know, for those of you that follow the channel more on a regular basis, yes, Brett's taking over many of the things going on here. Actually, let's do this too while we're waiting. Well, not waiting. I don't know if we're waiting. We're not waiting for anything, actually. So let's go ahead and log into something else. And I'll pull it up so you guys can see what's behind me. Matter of fact, I'll drag first. So I can log in. Let me drag it over to another screen, and I'll drag it to this screen. Can't see all my email addresses I use for things. That's one of the best parts to me of owning your own domain, is having many email addresses and registering different ones for different devices, so nothing's exactly the same. When I log into this device, I use this email address. When I log into that device, I use that email address, and so on and so forth. Anyways, all right, now that we're logged in, we can show you what I was talking about here. So there's Brett's truck. There's some boxes of things that are going places. We have so many projects coming in and out of the office right now, and it's Brett will shortly, that's what's actually on there behind me too. Brett will be shortly going out, and he's got some stuff he's delivering this morning. And we have so many things lined up. I had to do Vlog Thursday now, or I wouldn't be able to do. Well, I could have done it really late at night. I didn't want to do it really late at night. At some point, really late at night's not really what I want to do. Back to what are these projects? This is something that how much raw storage? It's about it's 8. So to calculate raw storage, there are 60, and we'll go here to the pool status, 60 18 terabyte drives. So we have 60 drives, they're 18 terabytes apiece. Math that out for the raw storage. Ultimately what matters, I mean, raw storage is a cool number to brag, and of course when I do a title, I like to brag with the raw number because it's bigger. But usable storage is obviously, when you're designing storage, what it all comes down to is what is the usable amount of storage on there. So that's important. The other thing too, oh yeah, there's a nice Tesla in the parking lot. So that, thank you. Yes, this is also connected to 25 gig storage. It's got a dual port 25 gig card in there. How much RAM do you need? So there's a point of diminishing returns over RAM very much depending on what you're using the storage for. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and, can I do it from, yeah, we can. Whoops. Just kick off some. We're building 400 gig files, folks, just to do this. This is what I've been running in the background here. I kicked off with tmux. That way when I leave here and come back, I can just do tmux A and see what it's doing. But it's doing a lot now. It's reading and writing everything. And now we're going to watch the memory usage. Now, the problem is there's this, people think there's an actual ratio that's needed for the amount of RAM, and that it matters when you're dealing with, you have a 40 terabyte system and you only have 8 gigs of RAM, you're gonna have a problem. You have a 40 terabyte system and you have 16 gigs of RAM, you're good. 24 gigs of RAM, you're a little better. 128 gigs of RAM, unless you need all that caching, it's not necessary. It will function without that. Matter of fact, this is something I can probably log into my one from home and talk about that. I've talked about this before. And this system right here has 8 gigs, count them, 8 gigs of RAM, and some errors. What is the errors? Oh, I didn't dismiss these alerts. So we're only running on 8 gigs of RAM, but please note there's 12 usable terabytes of storage here with 8 gigs of RAM. You can do it. It works perfectly fine. This is the Steam library system at my house. And it's one of those things like people assume there has to be, it can't work or it does this, and you'll find all the people in the comments or the forums. And I need to probably do even more videos on this, because one of the things I show in my videos that I try to convey all the time is not reviews like, hey, look at the shiny thing that I tested for 5 minutes and gave you a review. Thank you for the sponsor of this video. I actually tell you things that I've been using for a while, that we're deploying at clients, that we're actually pushing out there in production and following up on them. So it's one of those things that you can run all these on there. There's not like just 1-to-1 ratio that works like that. So yes, over a petabyte, 1080 for people doing that. The other questions, and we'll drag the questions over here real quick. I love answering all the questions. Do you prefer 192 versus 10 versus 172? The answer to that is yes, because it depends on the network I'm setting up. So there's different reasons to set up different networks. Sometimes just preference. You can just always use 172 or you can always use 10. I like to mix it up a little bit. And if you looked at our network, one of the networks we have is called Ponage. I like when networks have completely different prefixes in the first octet. And for example, the business side of the networks here are in the 192 ranges because that works out, like some of the business and testing and lab things. The network that's really secure, not really secure, that allows for very limited amounts of access is our Ponage network, for example, and it begins with a 10. One of the nice things about when you do things like that, you can look not just at like the third octet to figure out what network it is. You can look at the prefix and then to make a determination. And we do this for clients. Like we'll build a guest network. Let's say they're using 192 for all their business stuff, but they want a guest network. We'll build the guest network in the 10. That way, right away from the first octet, you're like, anything on the 10 network is something on guest. And by the way, nothing on the 10 network should ever access anything on the 192 subnets, because maybe you have a series of subnets in the 192. So it comes down to preference. There's not like any advantage. Like someone had I don't know why they tagged me. I think they tagged me in Twitter in it. They wanted to know if the /22 or /24 was faster. And I'm like, you're asking kind of the wrong question, but I realized that maybe I need to do an explainer video on that to help break down some of the myths that people have around some of those. So, so the stream will be an hour and 30 minutes. No, these tests are not relevant. These tests are just so we can break in the system. They're not at all meant to actually be a test. I would not run something like that for the testing on there. Yeah, I like using .10 for home and 172 for work to avoid remote workers on 192 networks. The remote workers on 192 networks, generally home people are at 192, 168.0 or or 1. Those are the most common. So if we're building an enterprise network, we're never going to use those because that will immediately conflict. Also, Comcast, at least here in the, all the areas that I've seen in Michigan and even outside of, always puts it in the 10 network. And we've run into a lot of times where corporate use the 10 network and it conflicts with the Comcast home users network for VPN issues. So yeah, that definitely can be a little bit of an issue. So at least don't start with 192.168.1.1 if you're building an enterprise network. Processors in this one. So yes, Intel Silvers, make it bigger. Whee! Intel Xeon Silver 4216 CPUs, 32 threads in here. So good enough for what we're running. There's going to be no jails on this system. It's purely for storage. That's the only thing is on here. We did set this up as a RAID Z2. So if we look at the pool, then we're going to go for status. You'll see it's a bunch of RAID Z2 setups here. Make myself a little smaller. Put myself way up here where things, I don't think there's anything ever this far up, right? All right, will put me down at the bottom. There we go. There. The storage using for private cloud, I guess you could call it private cloud. Actually, I take that back. If you're asking, this particular system isn't for VM storage. So now I see what you're asking now. It's just a big private storage server for a client that has a lot of designs and work they're going to be doing. This will be shared on 10 systems that are all connected at 10 gig that just create and store very, very large design files and things like that. So graphics and design, that's kind of what this is going to be for. So it's not for, can you show the beast to the machine? Yes, I will show it to you. For those of you who want to know what it looks like, that I can do. Hold on, let me switch to this. I posted pictures of it on Twitter, but let me. There's an overhead view of what it looks like. So this is it's a 45 drives XL60. There's Tom's foot because I had to stand up on the table to do it, and that's the cropped one without Tom's foot in there. So I posted some pictures on Twitter about this. If you go to my Twitter, pull that up. Pop this open. I think I have a couple other pictures of when we unboxed it. Yeah, same pictures I already posted. So another view what it looks like empty when we first got it. So the back of it, there's the dual 25 gig ports that it has, dual power supplies for redundancies. So I really like the 45 drives equipment. It's really nice. So it's a pretty sweet server. See how these are going. What drives do you go with? Don't tell me Western Digital Green. No, these drives are going to be. What model are these? Transfer model. Hold on. Come on. Google search. Seagate Exos Enterprise 18 terabyte. These are the drives that are in here. So for those of you interested, these are what I put in here for that particular system. Seagates. Yep, this is the models that are in there. They work quite well. We haven't had any problems. That's one of the reasons we're doing the testing. So we go back over here to Shell. Still running and beating up the hard drives on this. the NIC card in there. You know, let's see if we can't do this. So let me switch so I can log in and pull it up again. Too many things open. I can't remember. I just got to make sure we don't have... One thing the client did request is that their name not be in anything. So everything's kind of... Like if you see pictures before, when I do the review, you'll see there's blue tape on it. That's just to cover up the fact that 45 Drives puts the client name on there per the request of the client. So everything right now is going to get reloaded again after... First we do all the testing, then I reload it again and reset it. There is somewhere in here, I think it tells me all the details. Hardware information. Power supply, serial number, system, BIOS. I thought it would tell me the parts in it. Oh, I guess it doesn't tell me. I can't remember the name of the card that's in it. You can figure it out from here because we go here. And go to the... Actually, I think we got to go to networking. Interfaces. IX is tells me it's an Intel card. Are they helium drives? We'll just do this because people will be asking 20 times. They're whatever these are. There we go. So this is the model of the drive. So for all of you that want to know, go Google their site and you can figure out their, LS, I don't think LSPCI works so in here, but let's try this. There we go. I don't think flags, information, processor, socket. I'll have all the specs when I actually do the review. I didn't have them all ready for this. Memory devices, memory devices. So many things in here. BIOS. System. Manufacturer, 45 drives. Supermicro motherboard. Supermicro chassis, or 45 drives chassis. What is the cards are probably LSI if I had to guess. Yep. Let's see what else we have here. Central processor Xeon. I bet they're LSI controllers though. I think that's what 45 drive uses. I didn't think there you go. Power management, MSI. What else do we have in here? Going through all the hardware. Send your data on a trip. Boy, there's a lot of things in this. This is when I do the reviews. I have all these pulled up ahead of times. I don't remember if it's on the paperwork's in the other room. It's probably on the paperwork that came with it. So power management, express root port. Memory. So much memory in it. I'm probably skipping right over it because I'm glancing and not diving into detail. This is running TrueNAS, so it doesn't have cockpit on it. There's this per the client request and for the configuration they want, everything's being done with TrueNAS. Huh, I don't see the name of the device in here. Yep. Dual port 25 gig NIC. Yeah, we're looking for the brand. I don't remember which one it is on here. But I think 45 drives, you can go to their site and probably figure it out. 45 drives, most positive, uses LSIs. Yeah, hardware information, computer system, product, BIOS. Yeah, they just don't have that's in here. Odd. They have the power supplies in here. Oh, let me see if it's on there.
It's HBA.
It just says HBA. It doesn't say which kind.
I'm trying to answer one.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I have the paperwork. And the paperwork says HBA card. Doesn't actually tell me which one. Anyways, it'll be in the review. So watch for that review coming soon. So I'll have all the part numbers in there. I know I'm almost positive when I looked it up before, it was just a standard card that you can get. Like there's nothing, 45 drives when it comes to their stuff isn't using anything strange when they do it. They don't build their own cards. That's something that you do find in like Dell and some of those other companies. But this is one of the reasons I like 45 drives is it's very, like I can replace the motherboard in it. It's a super micro motherboard with a part number. It is a, whatever the HBA card is an HBA card with the part number. Matter of fact, it's probably the same HBA card that I did another review of 45 drives, and it's probably the same HBA card. I don't think they've changed which one they use since I did my other review. So if we go 45 drive. So in the Storinator Q30, I think, let me see if it's listed in here. Hardware specs, look at that. I time index video. It's the same, it is just a bigger version of this other one that I did here. So, I don't know, I don't have the part number in there. So the problem, I will cover this in a little bit more detail when I get to the review, because I don't have a lot more time before I have another thing I got to go do. So one of the things about when you're designing storage and the storage design, actually, let's see something funny if it happened. Oh, didn't happen yet. Certain tasks will Gmux A. See if that one, oh, it's laying out the file again, so that'll. Oops, logged out by accident. I'm gonna see if it'll use even more processor in the next one. But when you're laying out storage arrays, putting it across multiple pools, because they need a large data set, they need a large amount of data in a single pool. So putting it out to multiple pools doesn't make a lot of sense, because then now your storage is scattered. It's way easier to have one pool and have all the data here. Now, when it comes to layout, there are some, there's a good article, How I Learned to Trust ZFS. And I've linked to this article. It's in my forums as well. If you type in any type of ZFS stuff in there, it's this chart right here. This is one of the things that's important. You don't want to make these, and my understanding is this is still the issue. When you're building the VDEVs, you don't want to make them any more than 10 wide. And these are for people that actually spend time writing and working on ZFS. This isn't just anyone. But everything, my understanding, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong in this, but to my knowledge, it's still true. You don't want to make them any more than 10 wide. So if we go here and we actually look at the status, you'll see that these are all RAID Z2 groups of 10. This gives us good storage efficiency and also gives us, means we can have up to 2 drives fail in any of these. When you start making them wider than 10, the rebuild time can take a really long time to do. So that's where that kind of can be a problem for you. If the rebuild time takes too long, maybe you're going to have another failure on there. And if I took all 60, yes, ZFS will let me put all 60 in a single pool. Not a great idea. So what you want to do is you build them out in groups of 10, and that's generally fine. There's other people who will argue, there's a couple posts about putting them all in a series of mirrors to make it easier to expand. The bigger problems is when you have them set up like that, you end up with, if you put them all in mirrors, you lose storage efficiency. No hot spares. Hot spares are just physically not in there, so they're not. They're cold spares that are in the same server room. So no, there's not a hot spare, but because each VDEV can survive a couple of drives failing, the hot spares are extra drives that are not physically stuck in this because they needed a lot of storage. You could reduce the amount of storage and have hot spares. Yes, absolutely, could do that. They chose this setup. We're still confirming the suggested layouts between us and the client. The client has some ideas of what they want to do. My understanding is this is what they want now, but it's not finalized. I just built it this way mostly for testing. We're waiting on them to get a use at least one every other group, even at RAID Z2. The client is there very much on site all the time. We're doing this in cooperation with an internal IT team. They know how to swap drives. It's not like this is something I can't get to or something I even have to get to. If they have a drive failure or problem, their internal IT staff will be swapping drives on there. I mean, I get the argument. If I have a client, especially if they're more remote, harder to get to, having a hot spare, great idea. Having cold spares sitting around in a box in the server room, good idea too. When you're going, drive went bad. Let me go swap it real quick because I'm here every day, or a team is here every day. So that's, yeah. Any particular reason? Let's actually build this on 45 Drive site. So build and price. Build and price. I gotta know where I'm at. Michigan. So these are the drives. This is what worked out good for the client. It comes down to, I mean, you can put different drives in. This is what their budget worked out for. So that's what it really comes down to, is your budget. Could you go faster? Could you go this? Could you go that? Absolutely. Speed is less of an issue to them. Data storage is. And they actually have enough storage now that they're going to be able to have this redundancy. They actually have more. They have another place that this is getting landed for all the backups on there. This is going to be their new storage, and I believe they have an old storage system there that all the backups will eventually land on, and they may be buying another one of these. There's a few different talks. It's kind of weird sometimes. The client obviously has a budget for some things, and this is the first part of the project. There's still a few more pieces going in later that we're waiting on the client to make some decisions on. So yeah, We don't have any referral links for or affiliate links for TrueNAS, for those of you wondering. I said, thanks, Phil, that you bought one of those, but the we don't have any referral. We just like TrueNAS. That's why we do this. You know, the way my company, and this is something maybe we should talk a little bit about, I keep trying to do a little bit more, and I'm just trying to figure out what's relevant and what people are interested in, because I don't mind talking about any of this stuff, but behind the scenes, what goes on here and how we work here at Lawrence Systems, a big component of that is I do videos. I like training people. I like teaching people. I do a lot of stuff on there. We also are a business that actually sells these solutions and implements them. So my back end way I make money on a lot of this stuff is the fact that people hire us for consulting. People hire us for talking about building servers and setting it up. And we're physically building. This whole system is going in a series of racks with the talks of future systems going in. So this is like the beginning, as I understand it, of a project. And of course, they follow us on a YouTube channel, which is how they found us. But the other thing that comes with a lot of large company work is immediately going, we love your YouTube channel. That's how we found you. Please don't talk about us on the YouTube channel in terms of, like, we can talk about that we're using this system, but not the name of the company. That's why sometimes, like, it's the same thing. I cannot go on site with any of this. Matter of fact, you know, when I was on site, the rules the client has, this is not the only client we have like this, are things like, yeah, no phone. Never even take the phone out of your pocket. When I did some work with another company, they would make you check your phone at the security desk before you went further into their building. I have been to 2 places that do that. Like, they don't want your phone on your person. You check it. They have a security person that holds on to your phone until you leave the building. They don't even want to worry about it. And that's a great way not to worry about it. So, the kind of back and forth, this is why we do so many more projects than I can talk about, but the other side of it too is I can't always talk about the some of these finer details. And as someone I seen just pointed out in the chat, the customer's always right. Yeah, that's sometimes we do, like, work with a lot of internal IT teams. We work with other managed service providers in my space. We actually just, on one of my friend owns an MSP. We just did a big cabling job. Well, we're finishing up a big cabling job for them. And it's funny, their first rule was no photos, period. They just said none. And so that's why it's like, yes. Fun time. Customers never right, almost never. Yeah, it's fun. That's why it's fun, because I can only talk around so much of it before they have other things on there, other things in their network. And yes. Let's see. What else do we have in here? Customers always right. Customers, yeah. But you can price out this system, like I said, right here on the 45 Drive site, talk about which drives to use. They did have a budget to be able to build a system like this, but yes. So if you're wondering about how much a system like this costs, I like 45 Drives because they tell you how much a system like this costs. Punch in the same configuration I have, go to their website, here you go. So it gets you an idea. You know, it's one of those things that the customer always right is just, I don't know. I don't know how that adage came to be. The customer's not always right, to be honest. But we do what people want. It comes down to, can you do this thing? And we will sometimes give pushback, so to speak, and go, hey, you should do this thing this way, and you should do this thing this way. And the customer sometimes goes, oh, that's a good idea, and we come to an agreement. Other times, I've said, this is not a good idea, but if you're paying me to do it, as long as I don't think, because where I do come to a stop, if I think someone was doing something that would be not just a general not great methodology to implement something, but a step further in an insecure way that would worsen the internet. How's that as a way to describe it? And what I mean by that is, we're going to put a bunch of servers with RDP exposed and weak passwords out there. Will you configure that for us? The answer would be no. I will just pass on certain projects. I've had people ask me to do things. I'm like, I don't know why you would do that. Seems like a horrible idea, and I don't want to participate in my name being on this horrible idea. Other times it's just a preference of design, where they would prefer to be it designed one way because they like it architected this way versus that, and maybe not a best practice, but it's what works for them. Okay, we can understand some of that. So it's just, as long as it doesn't decrease the security of the internet. And, you know, just leave lots of things purposely public exposed, but not for the reason of a honeypot, then, you know, it's, yeah. Is there any in-depth testing for new hard drives? Kind of. You know, if you look at what I'm doing in the background here, and I just did a video on this topic exactly, and like right now, it's just beating up the hard drives, creating a bunch of large files. Matter of fact, let me cancel this because I want to change the system setting so it does it faster. Pools, because I have it testing for, you test it now for non-synchronous writes, which is another, I should do some more videos on this. This creates confusion. Oh my gosh, you disabled sync. You don't care about your data, Tom. It's going to all go away. We did some torture testing for ZFS, and there were so many people telling me I'm wrong about that. And it's like, I did it in real time on a video, and people are like, oh, it's wrong. I'm like, at some point, I can only convince people so much. We run this in production, and sometimes you do turn sync off, and watching people lose their minds over the times I didn't use ECC and sync being off, they swear your data is just going to get corrupted. It just doesn't. I'm like, it just doesn't go like that. Whoops. But right here, I just did a whole video on FIO and what it tests for, how it tests. So I'm running FIO on here. So if you do this, and I just put it in a little script like this, and all it does is go here and beat up the hard drives with a bunch of, right now, 400 gig files. So, you know, what do you want it to rate at? 400 gig files, 500 gig files? Mount. So you see right here, I tell it to do size 400 gig. Make it, oh, it just makes it wider. That's funny. Either way, size 400 gig here. So it writes the 400 gig file. Hey, look, there's a 400 gig file. And it's running a series of tests on there. So I may create some terabyte files. I just created a whole series of files across all the drives. Now, one advantage of having all these VDEVs spread across, it's just going to keep testing this drive for a while. I've already done these tests. I did them again just for the hell of it here. This is not a test to truly determine the speed of this particular system. This is more of a test to figure out, you know, do all the drives have any problems? If I start writing to them, if I put this under heavy load, what happens? And right now, you can see the load average being quite high. That's on purpose. I wanted a really high load average because I want to see, does the system get too hot? Does the drive start failing and things like that? It's basics like that that I wanted that we do. So, yeah, you can do the bad blocks. You can do, there's a lot of different things you can do. I like doing it as a pool and seeing if any of the drives fail because it's spreading the writes across all the pool. If you go here, what was it? Z pool. Oh, is it IO stat? I'm sorry. IO stat, right? Yes. So you can watch it write across all these drives. And it's now reading and writing across 60 drives. It's actually kind of cool to put your hand on the machine and feel all the drives grinding away at once. So it's but this way I'm testing so many drives simultaneously with things being pushed across all of them. Now, on to other things. Whoops. This works. I've been working on this, and this is the last thing I'll talk about before I gotta wander off. Oh, the power draw. That's actually probably something we can talk about real quick here. If you go to how many watts are we pulling? This is what it looks like when you actually push it up. We're pushing 800 watts. And before, when we started it, we can actually, so current value, does it show absolute current? Last hour, average, minimum, max, time. So yes, this does pull a lot of wattage, but let's do this. So we cancel out all these, cancel out. If we wait a few minutes, it's going to go back down to its baseline. It does this too. It thinks there's that many services because the tool is running as root. Yeah, 800 watts is quite a bit. This will take a second to refresh, and then it's going to start dropping down. They pull a lot of watts. I mean, there's no doubt about it. When you start having all those drives doing a bunch of Seek stuff, it's like, yeah, the idle watts is a lot different than the maximum watts. So the idle watts on it's like 250 with dual power supplies, by the way. $574. So it's still clearing out. I bet there's still some disk writing going on, but you'll see it ramp down. But the reality is it has to sustain being able to do the 800 watts on there. That's why when you run all the tests, I mean, when it's in production, there's going to be a lot of data moving around on it. Back over to this. This has been running quite well. This is my TrueNAS scale system, and I'm just less familiar with the interface here, but obviously there's a lot of things in here. And installed applications. I have just a couple things set up. Speed test. Now, this is some of the puzzles I haven't completely solved. Yeah. I can get the random IO way down with 3 SSDs in RAID 1 for metadata. Yes. There may be some other changes that get made later. The nice thing is those extra drives can be added later. But they didn't want any for right now. This was not a request of the client to use any of that. This is as spec'd by the client, like very specifically spec'd by a client. So, yeah. Anyways, I do have this as a puzzle. Now, this is Libre Speed Test, and this is running in one of the Docker containers inside of the TrueNAS Scale system. So this is TrueNAS Scale, latest version, and I don't need that anymore. That. Hey, Brett's still here. Thought he had to leave. I still have to figure this part out right here. So I'm only getting this kind of speed out of it, but let's go ahead and spin up another one. Spin up this one here. Oh, okay. What server is this on? Okay. Go, computer, go. Boots up reasonably fast. As a matter of fact, I think you can do this. So if we go over here to shell, then I bring this over. So let's go ahead and exit. Line 2168. Oh, firewall problem. We can reverse this. Oh, that's interesting. Can I ping me? Yes. Oh, hold on. When in doubt, turn it off. All right. Can ping 7.4, 7.9. So this is the puzzle I still have, sorting out the networking. Everyone was excited because they were hoping the networking would be faster, because there are some challenges when you have jails and you have them tied to a network interface and BSD. There's all kinds of little hiccups you run into with speed. I'm still running into speed issues, even though this is based on Debian. So it's definitely going to be kind of an ongoing issue to sort this out, because back over here, and if we do this, see, I have no problems getting 10 gigs on my network, but I'm still sorting out debugging TrueNAS to make sure it can, with things that are virtualized or in a container, either a jail on BST or Docker inside of TrueNAS Scale. I'm still running into some speed issues that I haven't really sorted out. Everyone thought this would be like an automatic fix. Once it goes to Debian, Tom, those problems won't be there. So I talked about them a couple times before, but they're still there. And I did an out of the box. I have no tuning. This is a out of the box setup, load Libre speed test. This is the results with a 10 gig card. For people asking, did I do 25 gigs? Yes, I have a series of it. I just did a video on 25 gigs. So go back within the last week. I published a video talking about 25 gigs. So we have some 25 gig. We have more 25 gig videos coming. The handful of the systems that we have here now, we're all connected at 25 gig. Oh, let's see. What catalogs are you using for a TrueNAS Scale? Whoops. That would be under apps. TrueCharts is the only other one I'm using. So I use the official and TrueCharts. No, here's a fun misconception. The problems must be DNS and jumbo frames. No, it is neither DNS or jumbo frames. Please note, this device, look at the MTU right here, guys. The MTU. I don't know why, but there's always some YouTube commenter who goes, oh, there's no way you can do 10 gig with an MTU at 1500 Tom. You just can't do 10 gig with a 1500 MTU. Can't be done. I don't know what person in a forum started this myth. Please note, 192.168.3.200, getting 10 gigs. 192.168.3.200, connected at 10 gigs via a virtualized system. So here we are doing 10 gigs at 1500 MTU, and it's virtualized because this is running XCP-NG and not a physical machine, and we're getting 10 gigs. So anyways, moving on to myths Tom will break again. Yeah, I see a lot of people talking about that. Network card firmware. Well, these are all the questions that come in. Is it a problem with the network card firmware? I don't know. They're Intel cards. So should the Intel cards be... I think these... Hold on, let me see what's in here real quick. I might be wrong about what card I put in here. These are not Intel cards. I have to look up... Does it tell me in here at all under network what interfaces these are? Nope. So let's do this. Oh, no, they are right here. They're definitely Intel. So they're Intel 10 gig X520. So this is the Intel 10 gig card that's not giving me 10 gig. So could it be a driver problem? Maybe. Could it be a hardware offload problem? Maybe. I just did an out of the box setup on here. So yeah. I see Terry says he was kidding. That's fine. It's just I see so many weird comments that people get. There's at least one person that was being really pedantic and copying and posting on my a few of my. I've never seen them in a live stream, but they were posting on a lot of my videos and giving really, Tom, you said this, but you didn't expand on like a paragraph long. I'm like, yeah, I said I'm using this server. I didn't expand to the history of that server. You're right. But they were also wrong on a few things where they were saying they repeated a couple of my videos. They went back, and this is something you see as a YouTube creator. One person will go back and watch a bunch of your videos and then put the exact same comment in a bunch of them about how I'm wrong about something. And one of them, though, they kept repeating was the 1500 MTU. You can't do 10 gig. And I'm like, did you even watch the video? I showed how you do 10 gig. So, how likely would I be to notice 10 gig versus 10 gig fiber latency if I was using network storage, say, video editing? For video editing, probably not at all. I don't think you'd notice it in any way for latency wise. The latency between, it's almost clickbait when I did the video on it. I did a video talking about light and copper. It's about a year old, but it's based on some research done by some storage companies, but it's so minuscule, you're splitting hairs. Would you notice it on a VM under high levels of production load? Maybe. There is a little bit of a difference. Under any other circumstance, file transfers, you're talking like microseconds of difference. So it's not substantial. So it's one of those things. Jumbo frames can be a pain in the butt. Mid-Hub Open Source Lab. I think you had asked another question. I don't know if you replied to it or not. Someone said me and Jay should do something for small business setups that are budget friendly, and kind of that's what my channel's about. So maybe it wasn't you who said this. I seen someone ask me that question. If I could, instead of the Home Lab show, if we could do another podcast about doing budget friendly stuff for small business. I'm like what? Like my channel's based on this. So I'm trying to figure out what more or what thing I didn't put in there. So I thought I'd bring that up. If you're the person that said this, I thought I seen it this morning in the comments. I do spend a lot of time replying to comments in YouTube. It's a very... Let's go to the comments section here. Who asked that question? Yeah, right here. Hey, Tom and Jay, why don't you start a series for small business on the Home Lab? Now, this comment, I get it. It's relevant, so to speak, but I don't know what I'm missing. So while I agree, let's talk about saving small business money, but that's also what I actually do for a business. So we do talk about it. I don't know what part I might be missing. So because I seen you here, I figured I'd bring this part up. So for what it's worth. WireGuard, actually, here, those of you that join my live stream get sneak peeks at things like this. Look at that. Debian 11 WireGuard. I wonder what this could be for. Yes, I'm working on a whole series of WireGuard videos. Actually, make sure there's nothing in here. Hold on. I'll show this in a second, so I just gotta make sure. I was testing it. I'm working on my PF Sense series. There we go. It doesn't matter if I show you the DigitalOcean things. You guys know where, well, actually the IP address will probably change. But I am working on, and it's okay that you've seen the private key. It just doesn't matter. This is going to get respun again when I rebuild it. That's one of the things I do a lot is respin all these servers. So yes, For those of you, thank you for letting me know my private key was exposed on my demo server that doesn't have an endpoint anymore, and I regenerate the keys each time I build this. But yes, I am doing a series on WireGuard. I have it configured. I've been doing a lot of testing with it, so I understand the scenarios. One of the things that people, and thank you for all the compliments I get when people say, hey, Tom, I really like your tutorials and things like that. When you see a video that I made that's a shorter tutorial video, the reason it's shorter is because I have gone through and I build, destroy, start over, do it again. Build, destroy, start over, do it again. I do this over and over until I feel confident that I can actually do it almost in one take when I actually hit record, because I've built, destroyed, and started over to train myself on it. So it's the important part about that. So WireGuard and Graylog, those are great. WireGuard on TrueNAS. TrueNAS has WireGuard built into it, so just attach it to whatever WireGuard server you want. Matter of fact, I highly recommend going to forums.lawrencesystems.com and if you want to do this, even though it's tested on 20.10, I built it. I've once again tear down, rebuild, restart. I'm now building it on the 21 version. One of the important things here is that it works with the new one. So I'm redoing this tutorial, so to speak. I'm actually not changing much here. This all works. There's nothing. I had to change 0 things from here from this tutorial for building your own WireGuard server at all to make it work in the 21 edition up there. So this is still great. And if you haven't been following the news, just in case you haven't been, I was tweeting the news. And by the way, if you hate all things social media, you don't have to. My Twitter's public, so you don't have to even sign up for Twitter to see the things I tweet about. But the fun never stops with VPN companies, because ExpressVPN CIO among 3 facing 1.6 million DOJ fine over Project Raven. And if you don't know what Project Raven is, dive back into Project Raven, which is an episode of Darknet Diaries. Very relevant. So if we type in Darknet Diaries, Project Raven. Hey, it's a really popular search right now. It's episode 47. You can learn what Project Raven is, how that came down, how the Department of Justice is going after them, and how ExpressVPN has found themselves involved in all of this. I bring that up. And someone said, hey, Tom, don't you still have a link to PIA? Sure do. One of the things about these is some people, no matter how much I say things like, hey, I don't really think privacy VPNs are private, people go, the can't believe Tom would say this. He's so wrong. I heard all these other non-tech YouTubers reading scripts that tell me how privacy matters to all these VPN companies. And I've even commented how much these VPN companies pay. I won't take sponsorships from VPN companies, but I will do an affiliate link, because at some point, despite me complaining and saying not to do it, people insist on signing up for it. So use my affiliate link. I mean, if you're going to do it, please use my affiliate link. Why not? My opinion is run your own VPN server. That way you don't have to worry about things like that. So, you need to test a WireGuard on a distro that uses NetPlan. I don't think it matters if it's using NetPlan or not. I don't think that makes much of a difference, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I'm not sure how that matters, how the network configuration goes on that. I mean, I've not looked into any auto type of deployments, so that specifically use things related to NetPlan. Does NetPlan have some different WireGuard integration? I always use the WireGuard utilities to bring the tunnels up and down. Does NetPlan have a way to do that? I don't know, as I've not looked into it. So, yeah, do a quick on my forum and you'll learn a lot. So, a VPN is private when you run it yourself. Yep. Now, things that VPNs are relevant for, sure. Location spoofing, great. General, I don't know where this person's public IP is type things, sure. But actually thinking it's... So NetPlan makes it easy with a stupid second config file. Okay. With a self-hosted VPN, don't I still need to rely on someone else's PC? Well, a self-hosted VPN requires you to rely on wherever you bought that VPN service, whether you bought it through Vultr, DigitalOcean, or Linode. Take your pick. You're moving. All you're doing with VPN is moving where you trust, where that trust point is. So that's how that goes. Bring this over here. NetPlan makes it easy, but no second config file. So are you saying that with NetPlan, you can put the WireGuard in without the WireGuard config? That's what I'm asking here. So if we use NetPlan, we don't have to have a WireGuard config file. We can just have a integrate that config into NetPlan. I'm just asking because I want clarification because I'm trying to figure out what makes it better. I mean, I'm not the hugest NetPlan fan because what is it? I can't remember what is it the formatting it uses. It's very particular about its formatting, and I've had network problems that are broken because of formatting problems. So yeah, I'm partial because I've been okay. Yeah, I thought NetPlan was YAML. YAML is human readable, but easily for humans to make mistakes in, because if you have some of the formatting just right here, I see people are debating this. So does NetPlan use YAML? Yes. How does it work? So yes, it uses YAML. So problem solved, or question answered. You wish I was your computer science teacher. Thank you. Am I not your computer science teacher now? Let's see. Yeah, hopefully, thank you very much for the super chat, Gabriel, on that topic. How many people are on here? 129. So I guess morning Thursdays, it's a different crowd in here, so I should probably rotate back and forth between doing afternoons and mornings or something. So yes, Tom Scott did a great video on the VPN stuff. I've not repeated it because another Tom doesn't need to repeat what Tom Scott said. I've shared that Tom Scott video to people asking me about VPNs. So yeah, there's always multiple ways to solve problems. So that's for sure. Always something, always something. Caught me off guard because really, yep. You might get more Europeans, and that's fine. Maybe that's what I'll start doing, is just rotating back and forth. So why I'm up 5. Here's the thing. I wake up at 5 a.m. Between 4 and 5 a.m. Eastern time is actually when I wake up. So technically, by the time 8 o'clock rolls around, I've been awake for 3 hours. This is lunchtime for me. So, being in the same time zone, yes. Getting paid to watch my videos. You can't beat that. You can't beat that. So hit that like button. I do have to wind this down because my day is coming to where I got to do things. I don't know if I'm going to talk about this. There's a lot of confusion here, and I'm not sure how exactly to solve it. But I've been having some trouble with Signal, And the cool thing is, I think I understand what went wrong, but I also want to talk about changes that Signal made. And that's one of the problems right now is, well, there's been some changes that Signal made. And I tweeted some security research because I found it really interesting, but I got to connect with the security researcher that did it to understand it better, because there's some weird synchronization problems I've been running into with Signal. And I think I know where the problems are, but the other side of it is changing your safety number. The functionality of how they did that has changed. So I also, okay, hey, here's a fun thing. Are you getting delayed delivery of messages in Signal? I haven't found anyone posting about this, so I thought about, I might do a write-up over on Reddit on this, but it's kind of weird. I don't understand exactly where the problem is. At first I thought it was me because our phone number here at the office has Signal on it. And the phone at the office having Signal on it works perfectly fine. My phone didn't. And my wife has no problem using it. But this is where the but comes in. Both my phone here at the office, our Signal messenger at the office, and my wife are not in groups. And when I started talking to other people having problems, the only people that are having problems are people that were in groups. So I don't know what Signal did or changed that's causing people with groups to have problems, but that appears to be where the problem is when there's groups. And I had a weird problem where I kept telling Signal to purge the data, and maybe I'm going to completely just rebuild my Signal account. One of the things about Signal that I think is really important is I look at it as something that should always be ephemeral. So deleting my Signal account, other than having my safety number change, not a big deal. Matter of fact, I do really love the way you scan safety number changes now with the QR codes. It's actually really slick. And when I was resetting my safety number, the people I know in Signal, and the reason people hate Signal is because they're like, oh, it uses a phone number. That's my favorite reason for using Signal, is because it uses a phone number. I love it for the reason that the people that I do videos about it complain about it. Signal is not for anonymity. Bottom line, it is for privacy. And that's the point. I like something where I can understand and talk to people on it. I can talk to people securely that I know. I can feel as though I have a rather engaging private conversation with someone I know in person. But when I don't know that person, or I don't get to communicate with that person in person, physically in the same room, I can use Signal to talk back and forth. And I feel as though the data that I'm sharing with them, the text messages, if you will, the media messages I send through Signal, are private and quiet. This is something that I like about Signal. So yes. So I may be going and talking about that because there's also some confusion when I mentioned a security researcher, just back to that topic. The confusion is in how the Signal security numbers change and what changes they did when you transfer accounts. But, yep. What's the benefit of Signal over the default chat apps? Now, any tool that you use where you're not in control of the keys and someone else is. This is a good baseline for what you want to understand about some of this. When you're not in control of the keys, even if they tell you the app is unencrypted, who controls the encryption keys? If it's not you, if someone else has access to those encryption keys, anyone else can read those messages. The advantage of Signal is they don't have your keys. You have your keys. As long as you have your keys, no one else can intercept or bring up any of those messages that you have sent to someone else in Signal. Now, when those keys change because you've reset your Signal account because you're not sure what's wrong with it, the notice when I send a message to someone else is Tom's keys have changed. This is an indicator, really simply, that something changed. Either Tom's phone got reset or someone that wasn't Tom reset his phone. This is how Signal keeps from a third party impersonating or eavesdropping, because you will see a key change notice. This is very important when you're doing any of this. So that you understand how that works and that you're in control of the keys. So like I said, I may do some more videos talking about it because that's why I use Signal for privacy and still recommend it. And someone asked me about how to make WhatsApp more private. You're not in control of the keys with WhatsApp. so while they sing and dance about privacy, people are going, oh, I guess it's not private. There was some more news recently about WhatsApp. I don't use it, so I don't really follow it, but it comes down to, are you the one in control of the keys? If you're not, don't assume the product's private. Insert name of any product. Interested in routing on Linux and OSPF and try FFR. Yeah, FR is kind of cool for that. I may do at some point just some overview videos of BGP. Something else to think about. So, but nonetheless, I think I've answered all the questions. I have to get to work and do a few things. I got projects to do today that I got to get started on. As much as I'd love to sit and talk and answer questions for hours at a time. Yeah. So that's, yeah. I haven't done this video in a while. I've done a video, and there's probably a lot of reasons that I should do a new version of it called Protecting the Digital You. It's actually a talk I've given to the general public quite a few times in front of businesses, but it's ways you think about how to protect your digital rights, your digital privacy, and how you present things online. I updated it. It's partially done with slides, mostly me talking, but I use some slides like to keep the pacing. I never do death by PowerPoint slides. That is truly an awful thing a lot of people do. But nonetheless, I may do this at some time where I kind of do another talk, and it's just talking about the way I think about privacy and how it works. So look for lots of other videos coming soon, and I got to get back to work. I got to finish all this fun things that I do on the other side. But let me know what else you want to know, or what some back-end information you'd like about the company, of how we do things. I mean, I've done videos on how we get customers. That's probably the most popular question. But if there's some other things you want to know, let me know. Me and Brett were talking about doing some more business-related videos to kind of clarify things and let people know things. So anyways, thank you all for joining. It was great. Smash the like button. I'm always following the comments, but also you can reach me in the forums. You can hit me up on Twitter, but not for tech support. If you want to say hi on Twitter, that's great. If you message me some long question with 20 screenshots, you're not likely to get a response other than me sending you a link to the forums. I do forums is where I do tech support, because people ask the same questions all the time. But if you want to reach out and say hi and engage with me, there's that. I'm really bad at Discord, but I go there about once a day or once every other day, just so you know. I don't know what to do with my Discord channel. Thank you for those of you that did join it, but I did it because a lot of people asked about it. I'm still on the fence of what to do with Discord. I don't like real-time communications very much. I like asynchronous communications way better. And comments are asynchronous, forums are asynchronous, because then I schedule it. I go into forums, I reply to everybody each morning, and sometimes if I have time, I'll do it again a second day. So at least once and sometimes twice a day, or every 24-hour cycle, I'm going through and replying to the forums to make sure I answer all the questions. I have all the unread questions marked so I can do them, and I make sure I read all of them and try to reply to everything unless the question makes no sense. Someone posted, how fix this? With no logs, no nothing. I will ignore some of that, just an FYI. It's a bandwidth thing. Because I almost want to make a meme that says "where logs" with the the one with the monkey. Where logs? Because I ask that question a lot. Where's the logs? And people, you need to engage with a little bit more depth. Anyways, but asynchronous communication, easy way to get a hold of me, easy way to talk to me. Because when I focus and work, I mute everything, because that's how I focus and work. If I'm trying to answer and getting disrupted all the time, it doesn't work so well. So that's my little work tip for now. Here, if you want to know how much the forums have grown, let me show you guys something here. And it's one of the reasons I do it. So right now I know I have one new, one spam. Red here's a spam person. I'll figure that out. But if we go over here and if you kind of get an idea here, let's just see. Yeah, it's just for a month. So at any given time, I mean, the reason it's so important that these crawlers are in here, and so let's dive into the metrics here. 379 logged in users, 2,184 anonymous user, and then 3,383 identified as crawlers. All this data is getting that people post in this forums. It's a public forum. That's the whole idea. People ask the same questions a lot. So if we look for ZFS performance, there is, look at all the people that kind of ask similar FreeNAS questions, speed up subscreen, things like that. When you start posting in here, you'll find a lot of them. And then I did a more in-depth write-up with a whole series of videos. And I reply this and tag this link. This is a whole series, not just a video, but all the different ideas. And here's some other related topics in there. And discussion about setups and discussions about even guides from the official FreeNAS hardware guide is in here. This is one of the reasons I like the forums and I like asynchronous communication, is it allows me to link back to the same question being asked, and also have an in-depth discussion where we post a lot of links, a lot of details, all my sources. I never hide for where I got information or results and benchmarks that I've done. So that's what all that's about for those of you that are wondering on there. So that's one of the reasons I push so many people to the forums, because making them publicly available, if you search for actually, let's try and search. So it'd be like cancel incognito search. Hey, look, Tom's forums, one of the first results on there. Tom's forums here is going to be a first result when I'm in incognito here. FreeNAS, TrueNAS, ZFS pool raids, because it's indexed. So DigitalOcean has an explainer on it. Tom has an explainer. And by the way, this right here is somewhere I link to. So it's kind of funny that I may be the first result, but then my results link to some of the other bottom results where they've also had this, because I don't produce things in a vacuum. I reference all the different people that contributed to that particular piece of insight that I may have. Although I wasn't very good at this back in high school, when the teacher said, Tom, show your work. When it comes to me covering a topic like this, I'm always showing my work. So hopefully that explains a little bit more about the forums and things like that. Ask your question on the forums for more suggestions. Forums work like person one. Use the search function. Didn't find anything except 100 threads with the same question. Always answer. Use search function. Yeah, that happens too sometimes. I tried to at least answer concisely, because sometimes people ask the wrong question. It's been answered in another forum post in a different way. So there is variations on this all the time. Anyways. I think I've answered everything. Port it note tag, yeah. This is why Discord's so much harder for me, because going back and, yeah. Do you know if there's any way to show account? I haven't used Pi Signage in over a year and a half, so I don't know. Go on their site. It's free. Download it. It's open source. They even have a whole feature list for Pi Signage. So, yeah, sometimes people don't know what to search for, and I reply frequently to people who post a question, but they're asking the question wrong. I will forward to how they should ask the question, and sometimes where there's another post that actually explains the answer they're looking for. So, yes. Oh, man, I was a BBS person back in the days of dial-up. So, yes. I like real-time communication for this. I like real-time communication when I'm relaxing. I'll chat with people and things like that, because I want to have a discussion about something, but that's it. So anyways, I could probably go on forever, but I won't. So thank you all for joining. Thank you all for hitting a like button, and I will see you in the next, well, I won't always see you in the next video. I'll chat with you in the next video. I'll comment in the next video. I'll see you guys online in the digital ether. Hit the forums. Hit me up on the Twitters and all that fun stuff. And I'm looking forward to getting all these servers deployed, but doing the reviews on them and getting them out of my building and into where they belong. That's actually where they're going. That's why Brett, well, his truck's gone now. I see it in the thing. His truck's gone now, but Brett was delivering stuff right now and all that fun stuff. So thank you all for joining, and take care.